Hello, my name is Chris, and today I've been thinking about my own quit smoking journey and reflecting on what I would do differently if I had to quit smoking all over again. It has been the better part of 2 years since my last cigarette, and honestly I can't imagine ever picking up a cigarette again because I now feel better than I have felt in my whole entire life, and that is not an exaggeration. If you are watching this video because you are only thinking of quitting, I can honestly tell you good things are going to happen to you when you get to this point in your journey. So why, if I can't ever imagine smoking again, would I be thinking about what I'd do if I had to quit again? Because over the course of the past 2 years, I've made lots and lots of YouTube videos just like this one, where I've shared with you what I've learned along my journey to becoming smoke-free. And the more videos I've made, the more I've learned about living smoke-free, about avoiding relapses, about smoking and quitting smoking and the whole process that goes along with it. And the more I've learned, the more I've shared, the more I've begun to see certain things that I could have done differently that would have made my quit smoking journey even easier, that would have made it less of a struggle, less of a challenge, actually enjoyable. Of the few things that motivate me to keep coming back in front of this camera, of the few things that keep motivating me to make these YouTube videos, one of them is the hope that something I say, something I share with you will help you to have an even easier time than I did when it comes to quitting smoking. So today what I wanted to do was to share with you 4 things that I would do differently if I had to quit smoking again to make the process as easy as possible for myself. If you'd like to find out what those 4 things are, stick around, get on board, we'll go and do that now. Of the 4 things that I'm going to share with you today, 2 of them are quite practical, actionable things you can just do, and 2 are more mindset, changing your thought process, a little more psychological, emotional, mental. But let's ease into things and let's start with one of the quick, easy, practical things that I would do differently, in fact that I did do differently. This is one that made the big difference for me between all the times when I tried to quit smoking and ended up picking up a cigarette again, and this last time when I tried to quit smoking and here I am 2 years later. And it was simply not going outside when all my friends would go out for a cigarette. Like I'd go to a social evening, we'd go and hang out somewhere, and I had a lot of friends who would smoke, and I'd sit there, they'd all go outside and I'd be trying to quit, and I'd be like, I'm so lonely, don't leave me. And then I'd scurry off outside and go and sit with them, and they'd be smoking, and sooner rather than later, it might not have been at that exact moment, but sooner rather than later I would eventually pick up a cigarette again, because I think I'd be watching them, and something subconscious within me would be watching and thinking, I'm missing out here, that looks good, they're all having a nice time and I'm not. And eventually I would always smoke again. So the one thing that I had to do differently, and that I would do again if I had to quit again, would be when everyone else goes for a cigarette, I would just stay right where I am. I would rather be lonely for like 5 minutes than to start smoking again. And the best part is that I was never lonely, because suddenly this whole new world opens up to you where you realise that not everybody smokes, and you get talking to different people who you don't normally talk to because you're normally outside. I appreciate that there are situations when you find yourself around smokers and it's not as easy to just say, well, I'm just not going. There are unavoidable situations. And I'm not going to talk about those today because I already spoke about those a few weeks ago. I made a video about what to do, how to keep yourself smoke free when everybody around you is smoking. I'll put the links in the cards in the video and down in the description below. If you want to check that out, you can do so. There's a duck. Number 2, the second thing that I would do if I had to quit smoking again to make things that much easier, and this is more of a mindset, a thought process, a mental emotional kind of thing, is that I would just change the story that I told myself about how this process was going to go. The further along I've gone in my journey, the more I've come to realize about the way I think about things, that's how they turn out to be. There's loads of videos on law of attraction and things like that where people will tell you that your thoughts create your reality. And I'm not going to go into that, but I am going to say that a lot of that seems to be true. There were times when I would try to quit smoking and I would tell myself, this is going to be really hard. This is going to be the hardest thing I've ever done. This is going to be a struggle. This is going to be an absolute nightmare. And worst of all, because I'd had previous attempts at quitting where I'd ended up smoking again, I would tell myself, not only is it going to be difficult, it is going to be impossible. Like, yes, okay, I'll give it a go, but I know deep down that I'm going to smoke again. And that's the story that I would tell myself. And it became this self-fulfilling prophecy where what I told myself came true. I'd been studying counselling therapy at college this year. I'm changing careers, and we've been learning about our core beliefs and how that influences our behaviours. And it is almost impossible on a long-term basis to act in a way that is incongruent, that is inconsistent with our core beliefs about ourselves. So if I go around telling myself, look, this is going to be really difficult and I can't do it, that becomes true. I was lucky this time that I still told myself, this is going to be really hard, but I can do it. And I did it. What I would tell myself if I had to quit smoking again is, look, loads of other people have quit smoking and gone on to live quite happy, successful lives and never thought about smoking again, so I can too, because I'm no different from anybody else. That weird blonde guy on YouTube always talks about how good it is to be smoke-free, so I'm going to have some of that. I'm going to enjoy being smoke-free. The whole process, I'm going to tell myself that the whole process is going to be easy and enjoyable and actually not a struggle, not a challenge. I don't want to talk about this too much now because I'm going to make another video next week just focusing on this, but that's what I would do. I would tell myself a different story about how the process was going to go, and then I would start to act consistently with that story. If I tell myself it's going to be an easy, fun thing to do to finally become smoke-free, that's what's going to happen. Numbers 3 and 4 are kind of intertwined and one relates to the other, but I'm going to try and separate them out a little bit just so that we can get some kind of coherency. The third thing that I would do if I had to quit smoking again to make the whole process easier is that I would be much more prepared and much more mindful about my diet, about the kind of foods I kept in the house, about what I was eating. It is entirely possible to quit smoking without gaining weight. There's a really good book by Paul McKenna that is about this very subject that I reviewed a couple of months ago. Again, the links are in the cards and in the description. I'm sure you will meet plenty of people who used to smoke who tell you that they did it without gaining any weight whatsoever. I will not be one of them. You can go back to some of the videos I made in late 2016 and mid 2017 and you will see the difference, that I did gain weight. And One of the main reasons that I gained weight is that I was using smoking to change the way that I felt. Not always consciously. There was always just this lurking subconscious kind of emptiness, this thing that I needed, that I didn't like about myself, that I would always try to change by smoking a cigarette. So when I quit, I still had that part of me that wanted to change the way I felt, but now I no longer had the tool that I used to do it. So I just replaced it with another tool that was equally as damaging, and that was food, and it was overeating. As you may tell, again, go and watch some of my earlier videos and look at this one. I have lost the weight. I do a lot of exercise these days. I'm running and cycling and going to the gym, and I do watch what I eat. But I would have started this process a lot sooner. I would have been a lot more prepared. So maybe if I'm going to quit smoking, on the day that I decide to quit, I may have gone to the supermarket, get more fruits, more vegetables, plan some healthy recipes, start by going for a walk, be a lot more prepared about how it's going to affect me. As I say, number four ties in directly to that, in that I smoked to change the way that I felt because of something deep within me that I didn't like about the way I felt, and I would try to change it with cigarettes and then replace the cigarettes with food. So if I was going to quit smoking again, to stop that from happening, I would pay more attention right from the get-go about why I felt this way, about what was causing this unsettled, aching emptiness within me that I felt so desperately that I had to change all the time. I would try to do a lot more work on the cause of it, and what I could do to actually get to a point where I felt good more often. Nobody feels 100% brilliant 100% of the time, but I could have done more to address not only why I felt that I had to change the way I felt, but why I had such low self-esteem that when I felt bad, I deliberately self-sabotaged and deliberately poisoned myself and deliberately did more things that were going to cause me more harm. I'm a big believer that self-esteem is vitally important to our success in quitting smoking and overcoming addictions and all that kind of thing, because I need to remind myself that I'm going to do that. I need to feel like I deserve this, like I am worthy of being smoke-free, healthy and happy. So right from the outset, I would have done, knowing what I know now, I would have done more to raise my self-esteem, to remind myself that I am worthy of being happy and healthy, and that I don't need to self-sabotage, that I don't need to do these self-destructive behaviors to change the way I feel, because I would also be working on why do I feel like this, and how can I make that permanent shift to where I feel better about myself and my situation and the things around me. I hope that makes some sort of sense, as I hope everything I've said so far does. Those are the four things that I believe that if I had to quit smoking again, if I did those four, they seem small when I say them, but some of them are quite big. If I did those four things, my quit smoking process next time would be that much more easier and that much more enjoyable than it actually was. If you have found this If you have found this video helpful, please do let me know in the comments below. I do love hearing from you and hearing how you're doing on your smoke-free journey, and seeing you encouraging other people on their journey. That really just makes me happy. Likes and shares are always appreciated, and for more videos like this on a weekly basis, please do subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.